Josh Snyder. You're listening to Thoughtful Discussions, and I'm here with
Alex Pattison.
Absolutely. And your boy, Corey Ochai. I am back, man. We are back.
We're at the 1028 podcast recording studio.
Absolutely, absolutely. With another thoughtful discussion with Josh Snyder and yours truly. And we got a special guest here today, man. So I'm excited to get into your story and talk about a little bit about what you do, my friend. So let's get to it, man. You guys got a good one coming.
Let's hear just a little snapshot of who you are and what you do kind of currently.
All right, so currently, it's kind of crazy how life changes, but I guess if I'm going to start that off, I'm a father of 4 right now, which is kind of nuts and kind of insane. We just had our 4th 2 months ago. Thank you.
Congratulations.
So that's kind of, where my heart is. Right behind that is obviously the chiropractic and helping people, and we've been doing that for about 13 years now. We're in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. We serve over in that area. Kids are into sports, which is fun and competitive. We had talked about kids. You guys have some kids in sports right now.
Absolutely.
It's nuts, man. It takes over your life really, really quickly.
How many boys, how many girls?
1 boy, 3 girls.
Oh,
Say
man.
a prayer, guys. Say
That's
a prayer.
a real one, man. Yo, blink twice if you need help.
So I guess that's my story. Father and doing this chiropractic thing for a little over a decade now.
Yeah, love it. How'd you get into it? I always say the 2 greatest days of your life, and we always talk about it on here, is the day you were born and the day you kind of find out why you were here, why you were born. So when did you, it's one thing to be into, be a chiropractor. It's another thing to start the business as well, right?
Yeah.
You have to truly believe in it. You're adding value to the world. When did all this start?
So growing up, I was like that chiropractic family. So I've been going to chiropractor most of my life, and it was usually like I would go because I played a ton of sports, and you were always banged up. You wanted to be able to perform at your best. So mom and dad always took me essentially for performance reasons and help some little aches and pains. When I was in leaving high school and entering into college, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and that was tough.
Yeah.
And it was bad prognosis after bad prognosis, bad news after bad news, doing the medical route, having some surgeries, taking the meds. And she was like, one day she's like, man, this stress is just getting to me. I feel it in my shoulders. I feel it in my neck. She went to the chiropractor. She got an adjustment. And he was like the first physician that she had in probably over a year that didn't necessarily talk to her about the doom and the gloom that's associated with a cancer diagnosis, but more spoke into her as a woman, saying, the body can overcome, the body can heal.
Absolutely.
And while the doctors are right now focusing on your disease, let's figure out ways to focus on what's working, where the health is coming from. And I remember her walking out of that appointment almost like a changed woman, like, okay, maybe there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Maybe it is something different. No, and I think a lot of people hear that
is so important.
And
like your body can't heal if you're feeling like all that.
And I think a lot of people,
negative energy.
A lot of people hear that story and they're like, wait, are you saying chiropractic, saved your mom from cancer? No, I'm saying chiropractic was the thing that made my mom believe like her body can beat this battle.
Absolutely.
And now she's a grandmother of 4 kids. She's 20 years
Shout out
cancer
to
free.
Moss.
Yeah,
Shout
how
out
about
to
that?
Moss,
Hi, Mom.
man.
Love it.
I'm a survivor myself,
Oh,
man.
wow.
So, and that was the biggest thing, was the mindset. I never wanted anybody to treat me with pity. I never wanted to the way you think is going to be one of the most important things when you're going in there. Like you said, mindset. Mindset was everything. I never went in never thinking I was going to walk out. I just knew that when I woke up, today was going to be, I'm going to live today like the greatest day of my life. So even if I was to die, I'd die on the greatest day of my life. Absolutely. And I, for some reason, I moved as if it didn't bother me or it didn't exist, even though, there's certain things that made it exist, but I never let it take my spirit. I never let it take my smile, man. And it was, and I moved through it with integrity, and the mindset was I think the biggest thing, because they kept trying to tell me that it just ain't, like this is probably going to be it. I just couldn't believe that. And it was people, it was a Reiki, there was a lady that did Reiki. And that was one of the people that changed my mindset, and also like was more worried about the way I thought about it than the way I feel about it.
100%.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it was, man, I don't know, man. It was, I understand exactly what you're saying.
And that's
You know what I
beautiful,
mean?
because it usually is that person that you would never expect. And for my mom was a chiropractor, like, you got this, like you're gonna win. And it sounds like that mindset for you is what she carried through, and you're here to tell that story. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man.
So he, like, you know, going to see him as a kid, like, he takes nice vacations. He's got a nice car. He's tan. He's fit. I'm like, oh man, this would be cool to do.
Right.
And then so I was kind of looked up to him, like, maybe I want to do this chiropractic thing. And then he had that conversation with my mom, and I was like, man, forget the cars, forget the vacations, forget the tan. Like, if I can have that conversation with people and empower them in their bodies, sign me up. And I really haven't looked back. And shoot, when was that? 20 years ago now, I guess. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Sheesh, so you started when you were 21?
Yeah, I would have been an undergrad at that time. So, yeah, I kind of made up my mind pretty bright and early as far as underground went of what I wanted to do with that. And just put my head down and went. Man, and did the other things that sometimes you do at undergrad. I had my fun. It was a good time.
You did. I bet you did. You said you was in the sports. You know, you was out there. You was out there in these streets.
But it is important that you stuck with what you were doing, and you went with it, and you developed as you went.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, I'm glad you brought that up, because I would say, like, that's me to a fault. Like, sometimes I'll just continue down a path because I have a hard time letting go and quitting.
Yeah.
And not necessarily quitting, but just saying maybe this path isn't the right path. And sometimes it's like life beating you upside the head to get you to realize that path isn't it. So I think stubbornness is part of success in some aspects. But you kind of, after doing it for a while, you got to learn, like, okay, maybe I need to listen to life. Maybe I need to listen to the mentors of, like, pump the brakes on that specific aspect of the business and life, and try to transition a little bit.
Right. No, I could see the parallels for myself as well. There is a sense of stubbornness where you're like, nope, this is going to work, and it's going to work because I'm going to make it work. But at the same time, constantly reevaluating, constantly double checking myself and making sure that, like, is this, I know that I'm going to make it work, but is this the way that it's going to work, or is there an adjustment that I need to make, or not being afraid to go back on. I don't want to put myself in a jail by saying, like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it this way, and, like, now I'm stuck with that. Like, if something has to change and I adapt, if my circumstances around me change, then I don't feel any shame in, like, pushing through a different way.
And I think that's the cool thing about owning a business, because sooner or later it comes down to, like, how much is this business negatively affecting my personal life? How much is my personal life affecting my business? And kind of finding that happy medium where both have the opportunity to thrive. Is because how many business owners, have this amazing business and then struggle in XYZ areas of their life, and how many people have this amazing life but struggle in their business? I think that the important thing is to trying to find that mesh and what works well in both aspects.
I think what a lot of people call is a work-life balance, and I think that's not my best way to approach it. I always look at it as a work-life harmony, right? Because it's not going to be 40, 60. Sometimes it's going to change. It's going to be this, that, and the other. It depends, like, but there was something you guys were talking about, and you were talking about that tenacity, that stubbornness, and there may be people listening that may feel like they don't have it, but that is something you can develop.
Absolutely.
I don't think you start off with that. I just feel like it's something that somebody listening may say, oh, well, I want to do that, but I don't have that.
Just doing it is the thing. Like, that's it. Showing up.
Yeah, showing
consistently.
Up.
Yeah, right. I think, like,
how did you guys develop that, though? Like, how? Because it didn't always start like that, right? Was there a point in time when you gave up, maybe, and you
There's
just had
burnout.
to fight through?
So it's not give up, but it's burnout. So, like, you get to a point where you're like, maybe you're going through something, or something's not working out right, but you have to keep showing up every day and do the thing that makes the business run, even though, like, there's an element of it that there's a kink in the system that's, like, not quite working, but you're like, well, like, I'll figure that out down the line, but right now I just need to keep doing this. And I mean, I think for me, there have been a lot of times where I didn't feel like I had any other options. Like, this is the thing that's going to make the most sense for the longest term. When you get into business for multiple years, you might take loans, you might you might have obligations, you sign leases, whatever. And, like, just to get out of that would be, if you were to go and make an hourly wage, you'd be like, it would be decades before I'd be able to pay that off. So it's like, I have to keep doing this. I have to stay in it because it is working at least enough to, make it make sense. You can't do anything else at a point,
You had mentioned something earlier, Corey, that I think is cool, like that work-life harmony, right? As opposed to balance. So like one of the cool things that we've been able to work on is I'm not a marathon guy. Like the grind thing, just like I tried it. I had the burnout like you had talked about. So what we've been able to do, like Mondays and Wednesdays are like my grind days. So I left the house, what time is it now? 8, almost 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I left the house before 7 o'clock this morning. So like Mondays and Wednesdays, I just go. Like that's when I see my most patients. That's whenever I do my most spreadsheets.
Okay.
But then like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I pump the brakes. I have less patient hours. I have less responsibilities on my calendar. Okay. And I've been able to find that by going hard and then breaking and then going hard and then breaking, at least in my journey and is how my mind operates as far as a business owner, that has stopped a burnout in probably the last 6 years. And it was just finding that harmony and that balance in my life. Yeah, it's just that structure. Yeah. So a lot of people look at that, it's not structured because you do something different each day. Like Mondays are super busy, Tuesdays are laid back. But for me, that structure is that kind of brings that balance.
It's like taking a breath.
You just need to pull your head up and take a breath and then get right back to it. Yeah. So when it's all said and done, when you're running a business, 40 hours is like not even enough to maintain that, right? So you've got to be able to figure out ways to not get that burnout. 40 hours, I love what I do and I wouldn't want to do anything else on the planet. But if you want to open a business, you got to realize that 9 to 5 just doesn't exist in this world.
No. I had someone tell me, it was like, if you're not getting it done in 40 hours, then you're doing it wrong. I said, I think you don't know what I'm trying to do here.
We're doing different things.
Yeah, we're doing. I think with your idea of what I'm going to be doing and what I'm actually doing are two different things. Because 40 hours is like a sneeze, and it's literally like a weekend.
But I have friends that are like, when they try to take time off and take a break, he just ends up doing more and more things. Like there's no end to it. Like once you're in it and you're doing it, you just keep. You can't stop. Yeah. You can't you want to keep going.
How do you turn it off? Like, can you turn it off? And
me,
and if so, what does it look like for you, both of you? Because I'm asking because I'm curious.
Yeah. So it takes intention. Like there's times where like I'll leave my phone in the car if we're going out to dinner. I'll it depends on if it's appropriate or not. Like I think that's where the line is like, should I be answering my emails right now? Like everything's on my phone, or do I want to be? Like it's not just about the people that I'm with, but also like, do I need a break? So I moved my charger over across the room so that I don't have it in bed. I don't have my phone in bed, so like I can't. Like I could be on it for a little while and then I got to put it on the charger and now I'm not like laying in bed trying to reply to people or check things, check stats, check whatever. Like none of that matters. I need to go to sleep. Like turn it off.
And I think that's the cool thing. Like the phone. When the phone isn't like this social thing. It's not something to play games on. It's like my phone is a tool of my business. And if I have my phone in my hand, I'm working. So you had mentioned, like coming home, being intentional, set it down, put it somewhere where your mind's not there so that you can be present with what's important in that particular moment. I love the idea of leaving. Well, I mean, it is hard. Like even now, you got 4 kids at home and I'm here and I'm doing this and I'm having fun and I'm loving it. But in my head, I'm like, my boy's at baseball. He went there with a different family. Like, should I be checking that thing? Like, it is weird how quickly we become.
I looked down and I watched it every when you did it. I was like, damn, I'm caught up. Yeah. I think it's good, man. It's good to hear both of y'all perspectives. And like you said, intentional. Being intentional, right?
Absolutely.
If I leave it up to chance, it's just not going to work.
No.
So I have to make sure.
Because the drive is there. Like, I know I need to do it. And if it's like, if I don't do it right now, I'm going to have to do it later. And later I'm going to have a million other things to do. And if I see it right now, I might as well just take that attention and do the thing. Like,
Right. And now we're really talking about running the business, but
Right.
It started off, you were going to school, to be for chiropractor. You were intentional about that. When did it become, what was that like when you first started and you really said, you know what, this is something that I don't want to just do, but I want to create a business around it?
I had a mentor tell me before I even opened up my own practice, and this was something that I think about every single day, is like, hey, at the beginning of the day, what's interesting about the healthcare business is it's a business, but it's about people, and the people should come first. And this was a very, very worldly successful man, but at the same time, had a great family, had a great life, was just a stand-up dude that was helping other chiropractors come out of school. And he told me, your serving hand should always be just above your business hand. Like, you should be spending your focus and your time and your efforts mostly here on how to help people through chiropractic. And yes, you need to run a business, and the only way you can help people is that if you figure out a way to turn a profit at the end of the month. Right. But if you put that business on a pedestal and you don't focus on the people, what good are you really doing? You might go to bed with some more money in the bank account, but the reality is you're in the business to make money as opposed to helping people. And I think most entrepreneurs start a business to help people, and then the business kind of gets in the way of it. So I have to constantly remind myself that it's, yes,
Absolutely.
the P&L is important, the bank account, all that stuff is hugely important, but it's never more important than the human being that's in front of me or laying on that table at that moment.
You said P&L. I'm sorry.
Profit and loss.
So that's a profit and loss.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. All right, dope, man. Learning
the
already.
spreadsheets.
I love it already. I'm loving this already. So was that always the goal when you went in, that you wanted to own your own practice? Was that always the goal?
Yeah. I knew pretty early on that I wanted to own my own business. And I think the unique thing about chiropractic, as far as a healthcare profession, is most chiropractors at one point or another end up owning their own business and or having some type of profit share in the business that they're working in. So I knew pretty early on that I wanted to be the one maybe calling the shots.
You said most, but what about those that is there people that don't want that?
I mean,
there are more like corporate places where they like chains, and then they have chiropractors that they hire them. I think that's more like out of school kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's a great fit for a lot of people. I think it's a very interesting business model because essentially the people who own that clinic aren't chiropractors.
Right.
So what's cool about that model, if it's the right fit for an individual, is you just show up at work and you don't even have a business hand. You just have that serving hand. Okay. Now, the flip side of that is, eventually that business owner is not a chiropractor, doesn't understand the healthcare aspect of it and why a patient might need X, Y, Z, is that the shots that are being told to you are coming from a business aspect, and ultimately he's the one writing your paycheck. So sometimes your decisions are based off of what the CEO is saying as opposed to what you feel is the best interest for that patient. So I definitely think there's a trade-off on both of them, but I think it's an interesting business model, and I think that it works for a lot of chiropractors coming out of school.
It's a great point of view, and good to watch the market and see what they're doing versus what you're doing, and always taking notes and okay, you did that. Oh, that's interesting. Let me see.
Some of my coolest marketing ideas have not come from me. Like you see that guy down the street, like, oh, that's a genius idea. Right. Let me jot that down, and I'm gonna try that next week. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Right. So all right, hopping into the field. You said, all right, I want to start my own business. One of the scariest things that you can do, right? You don't know exactly what that's going to look like in 3 months, but you said, you know what? No, let's do it. What was
especially that? You said you started the business 6 years ago, but you got a 9-year-old, so you were
I started the business 13 years ago.
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
I apologize if I wasn't
that's all right.
clear on that. Yeah, but we've been open for 13 years now.
Okay.
So I opened up. It was just me, my wife, and no kids. Yeah. And
she helped you run the business?
She did, yeah.
Does she still?
Her, man.
She does. So she actually, it's crazy how life works. Like after our third's in kindergarten now.
Yeah.
And as we were getting ready to enroll in kindergarten, she's like, I don't have a kid at home anymore. Like, I really want to get back into the office. I feel like that's my calling. And then, we get the plan together. We all piece together what our life is going to look like when that happens. 2 weeks later, she does a pregnancy test. I mean, I'm like, oh, my God. Well, there goes that plan. That's, but obviously we are ecstatic over Lottie, the new one here. But, again, that is an interesting idea of it's just not like, oh, I'm just going to go to work and it's going to be different or it's going to be the same. It's a fourth kid. There's a business. Like now we got to hire a new individual to fit these roles and hit the goals that we wanted to hit, that you were going to fit. And all honesty, nobody's going to be as personally
100%,
invested in the business
100%.
as you would have been, right?
Yeah.
So there's all
cares
these.
about it like you care about it.
Right.
Even if I mean, you want people to, that'd be great, but
Right.
but I don't think
You can't expect them to.
I don't think you can expect. Yeah, it's
But
just-
your partner, like your partner in life. So I brought on my
It's different.
fiance a little over 2 years ago, and it's been life changing. And so I've been in, like, we're about to celebrate 10 years, but for her being involved, and the two of us get more done than when I had 5 people. Like it's
real.
insane.
It's real.
Yeah,
It's
and she cares
real.
about it. She's like she loves doing it. She likes seeing orders get done and doing them right, and like there's a aspect to it. So when you have a partner that, like, it's one thing for your partner to be supportive of your business, but if your partner's in the business with you, like it's a whole nother thing. I love it.
See,
I love it so much.
You know what? I look at you guys and I'm like, because my wife, and actually I also appreciate it, but she wanted to be separated from it.
I get it.
That's just not her thing.
It's not for everyone.
It's just
I
not
wouldn't recommend it to everyone.
And
But-
there's good days because you don't get to like just leave a bad day at work whenever they're
Right.
there. Like no, we know what happened at work today. We know how you lost your cool, and now I got to deal with that at dinner.
you know what? I'm doing
You
all
might have made the right
I'm doing all
decision.
right. I'm doing all right. Yeah,
It's more good than bad, but the bad can be rough. That's a whole other river to navigate there. That's wild.
We've been working on being quick to apologize.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's my fault. 100%.
Yep.
It's easy for me to say that now. It's not easy for me to say that in the moment.
Right.
Well, what was it like your first month going into business? What did you feel like the day before the first day you had to go into your own
threw up in the
office?
toilet.
Yeah,
I
for
threw up
real.
in the toilet.
That's a
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, when you look at it, and again, you're looking at okay, so rent's going to be this much, insurance going to be this much, light's going to be this much. How am I going to do this? And then you just put your head down and you go to work and you figure it out, like you had said. You just grind away, you figure it out. So when I opened up, I'm in Brentwood, so like on 51.
Yeah.
And when I opened up 13 years ago, Century 3 Village Mall was right down the road. It was falling apart then, but it's not open anymore. But like, I opened in November, and I approached them, and I signed I think it was a 4-month lease to have a mall booth. So I was like, I had a mall booth at the mall right next to Santa Claus, and as parents were walking to like their kids out, be like, "Does your neck hurt? Does your back hurt?" And then I would just talk to them about chiropractic. I'd schedule appointments. So it was like I'd go to work, I'd see patients. I go to the mall booth till 9 o'clock,
like
come home,
direct
fall
marketing.
asleep. That
Yeah,
was
right?
it, man. But I will tell you, to this day, I was actually just having this conversation with my staff today. We still have 3 patients that come to see us on a regular basis from that mall booth 13 years ago. It's crazy.
Is that where you learned how to sell as well?
That's where I learned not to sell. So that but again, what's interesting
Okay,
about the
let's go.
chiropractic world
go.
is you don't want your healthcare professional to be selling you on anything.
Okay.
You want your healthcare professional to be guiding you and making recommendations that are in your best interest.
Right.
And, I open up, I'm like, okay, I'm opening a business. I need to get new patients. Let me read all the sales books and all the marketing books. And they are great unless you're in the healthcare business, because I don't even know if there is a good, maybe I should write that. Maybe it should be my next,
the book.
maybe
man.
that should be my
That's
book.
the book.
I got to get out of here. I got to write a book. But like, that was it. Like if my first couple of months in practice, all I thought about was rent. And I'm like, okay, I got to get this person. I got to have them understand this. I got to have them commit to this. And it was just like, wait a minute. I don't got to do that. I just got to help them understand why they're hurting, show them the plan to not make them hurt anymore. And they were like, yeah, doc, let's do that. So for me, it was like, just stop selling and just be truthful and tell somebody what's going on and give them a solution.
So dope. That's so dope. I didn't expect that answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, you think of business, you always think of selling, right? It's like that just comes hand in hand. You said you don't sell. I think that's important for anybody watching that wants to go further in this type of journey. I think that's important to know. But also, when you start a business, a lot of times you're not making enough to really pay those bills. How long did it take for you to get to a point where the bills
Getting
were
that positive.
Yeah, to get in the positive, as well as like how did you navigate the months that you didn't?
Like,
You want me to go first?
yeah, you go first.
All right, so I kind of had this unique situation when I opened up practice. I did my equivalency of a residency with that mentor that I was telling about, the equivalency of a residency that you would do in medical school. I did in Cleveland. Lived with this guy, ran his practice, taught me everything he knew. And I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to go open. And finally he was like, all right, I think you've got it figured out. Let's get you back there. So I got back to Pittsburgh 6 weeks before my build out was even done for my clinic. So I still had guys, the contractors, and they're still building it out. So I'm like, I'm back. What is the best utilization of these 6 weeks that I have? So I took my book and I'm like, okay, contractors are guaranteeing me that I'm going to be open on this date. And I just started filling up my book, my appointment book, with patients 6 weeks prior. So I'd go to gun shows, I'd go to the mall booth, I'd go anywhere where there was people, and I just talked to them about chiropractic. And hey, I think you should have that looked at. I got an availability on this date. So when I opened my doors, I have 40 new patients on the book over the next 3 weeks that I opened up. So I already had now 40 committed maybe 6 weeks ago. So how many show up? Maybe 27 or 28. Right. Okay. But that was a great month in the chiropractic world to have 28 people coming in interested in your services. Right. So I did my best to make sure that I didn't have that bad first month, and we were profitable month one by booking out that way.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
I would say I've had this kind of like motto where like do good work and you'll get paid well. So like I know that my business is more of like I'm producing a product, and my job is more on the printmaking end. I consider myself an artist. I'm a photographer, I'm an illustrator, but I'm also a printmaker, and the job of that is not necessarily like it doesn't matter to me as much as like if it's a business card or brochure or if it's artwork or whatever, but the way that the ink kisses the paper and the way that like making sure that it's done the right way, it's not blurry, it's not going to scratch off, it's not crooked, all the technical aspects on my end. So as long as I was doing my job, the money was always there. It was when I was struggling was more when I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to take on every job I could. And so I had too big of a team. And then when I had so many people working for me, then I had to take on every job that came through, including really bad work, just like a busy work, just to keep people busy so that I would have. And then it was just a constant circle until I got myself out of that, and then it's been incredible since.
Well, I think that's cool. Like you can tell he's an artist because like
the way
he didn't
just
kiss the ink on the paper. Like I'm like, oh my god, I would never think about doing that. Wow. But that's beautiful. I like that. That stuck with me.
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm at right now as well. Right. I'm not. This past year and a half has been more so me learning the tools, learning what good work looks like. What does good work look like to me? What do I want to present to a client?
And there's a standard. You got to set a standard for yourself so that you can set yourself apart from the next person.
Yeah, and right? I keep hearing, your standard's too high. I was like, no, I don't think it's high enough.
Yeah,
like and I'm stubborn, man. I just refuse to believe that is all I have to offer. There's so much more I can be doing. There's a better way to present it than what I'm seeing. And it's taking me a lot of time, and maybe I'm not able to take on as many clients as I want. But the ones I do have and the work that we are creating is something special. Mm-hmm. And if I feel like I can focus on 10 people and do 10%, or I can focus on 2 people and give them 5 times as much as I would give those 10. Mm-hmm. And right now, it's starting to become more clear. And I know it's not the way
we talked about this like a year and a half ago. I feel like you could either pay for it up front and learn it all in school, or you can go to the school of hard knocks and figure it out yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where you're at.
Absolutely.
Have you ever heard Tim Ferriss' story about that?
No, tell me.
So he's a super interesting. He's got a podcast. You ever listen to him?
Oh, yes. That's
Okay.
how I learned how to podcast.
Yeah, I mean, he's amazing.
His podcast, he was the reason why
he's going to listen to this. So it's going to blow up, right? So, and I might butcher the story, but like he did the same thing, like the School of Hard Knocks. He's like, okay, so to get an MBA, like at the school that I wanted to be, was like, let's say $80,000 or something like that. Maybe let's just use $100,000. And he was like, okay, so I could go to an MBA, I can learn how to invest, and I could do all this stuff in the business world. Or I've had this interesting business, and I've got $100,000 in the bank, I can pay for school, or I just reach out to an investor and say, I'm going to give you $100,000. I want you to tell me exactly what you're doing with my $100,000, and I want you to educate me on what that is. You've got nothing to lose, investor. I'm giving you $100K. You do what you want. Teach me along with it.
Right.
So now he's like this angel investor. He's doing all these really, really cool things without an MBA. That just went to some dude and said, show me. And was able to turn around and turn that $100,000 not into debt, but turn that $100,000 into an education that is providing dividends on the back end of it. That's crazy, right? But when you think differently, you get different results, and I think that was a pretty crazily different result.
That's absolutely dope, man. What? Hold up, bro. So he gave him $100,000. Tell me what you're gonna do.
Tell me exactly what you're gonna do.
Show me what you would do. Show me and why. Probably show me why.
Show me why. No. Here it is. Do what you do. Show me. Show me the spreadsheets, why you're making this particular investment. Educate me on how you think. And that was his MBA, and he's been investing ever since, and has been very successful in that. I mean, Twitter, Facebook, Uber. I think he's had initial investments in all of those businesses.
That's heavy. Okay.
So doing it is the key. Just got to show up.
Yeah. So okay. So now my question goes to this, right? Okay. So you got that first month. It was amazing, because you set it up. It wasn't that it just happened. You set it up that way. I want to hear, what is your preparation, for your day? How do you, because I think that's important as well, because there's a way that you move. That's how you made your
I feel like you spend a week or two prepping for every day. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it builds.
Yeah, you're right.
What
like
was
every
the day planned? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, no, that's great. So, I probably changed my schedule 8 years ago in terms of what my Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays look ago. So I guess that was laid out 8 months ago. Or 8 years ago. But this morning I wake up usually an hour before I've got to leave the house. I have my routine, think about my day, plan my day, look at my schedule, read some scripture, pet my dog. He's the only one up with me at that time, which is nice. Then I head into the office. I have a meeting with my staff. Here's who's coming in today. Here's somebody that we need to focus on. Here's somebody that's going through a difficult time. Here's somebody who just had a major milestone in their life. Let's go ahead and high-five them and congratulate them. I hit the gym usually around 11 o'clock. And for me, I think that's important on a Wednesday, just like get my heart going, get the rest of the day going.
Okay.
I have a meeting. What's today? Wait, no, today's Wednesday, right? So then I have we train with the staff on Wednesdays. So we pick a particular aspect of our clinic. Today it was reviewing x-rays with the patient and how to help them understand what's going on and the progresses that have made, some of the struggles that are taking place, explaining next phase of care. Saw patients. Normally I'd go home, day's done, hang with the kids, maybe pick somebody up from practice. But like to know what day it is and to know what I'm going to do before I even leave my house, like that's every day for me. That's every day. Weekends, cool, blank slate, like let's try to chill out and relax. But if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, I can almost tell you down to a 15-minute segment what I'm going to be doing at that particular time of the day.
Okay. Are you prepping your week on Sundays, or is it how do you set that schedule up?
I don't really have to do that Sunday work anymore. I like to take a look at it one day at a time. Fridays after my shift, I look at my week coming up so that when I leave the office on Friday, I'm pretty much saying, peace out. I'm going to try to keep you out of my mind for the next 24 to 48 hours. I'll be back on Monday morning. Okay. So I try to plan my next week before I leave the clinic on Friday. Okay. Before I had kids, before I had responsibilities on the weekends, of course, that Sunday night routine and all of that stuff took place, but I found that I was not putting myself in a position to be a husband and a father if I didn't button up the end of the week and start the next week on Fridays.
Okay, you said you also read scripture. How does faith play? What type of importance is faith to you?
Really important.
Okay.
It's probably, what's interesting about it's like this cat and this mouse thing for me. Like, the more that I understand about faith, the more that I understand how our body was created and how the body was designed. And the more that I understand how the body was created and how the body was designed and how it functions, the more that ties back into my faith. So it's like when I'm researching how to better care for a patient, my faith is growing. And when I'm researching my faith, my ability to serve a patient is growing. So for me, and I'm not saying that's going to work for everybody or that it applies to every industry. I think it applies great for most artists, because I think there's a ton of, since the beginning of time, faith has inspired some of the greatest works of art that we've ever experienced, right? So for me, it's hugely important.
You consider yourself an artist?
You know what? I was thinking about that because I listened to your podcast and I'm like, man, I kind of feel out of place because I don't produce any type of art, but
you do.
I do consider what I do with my hands and with a patient an art, 100%.
The patient is your canvas.
So the chiropractic premise is based on what they call a trifecta: a science, a philosophy, and an art. So when you apply those three things to chiropractic, you're best serving your patient. So I would agree with that.
He's not the artist. He's the restoration. At the museum.
I like that. That's oh, look at that.
That's heavy.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
That's heavy, man. No, that's really interesting, man.
I'm getting that pumpkin soup off of the Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
You
right
see
there.
that lady the other day?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was
Thank good it was
heavy.
behind glass, man. What a crazy world.
That is a wild world we live in, man. How did you guys meet? How did this happen, man?
I hit you up, man. I listened to a couple of shows, saw you on Instagram. I was like, man, I love this. I want to be a part of this, and just reached out, and Big Heart said, yeah, come this Wednesday. Great, I'm there, man. Let's do it.
That's dope, man. And speaking of consistency, I think in my life journey, this has probably been one of the most consistent things that I've ever, besides being a father and a husband and showing up every day for that, as well as my business. But like this right here actually helped me develop a system and really sticking to it. I know what my every other Wednesday looks like. I know what and to see the results, like people like yourself sitting in the seat next to us and us having these type of conversations from sticking to it. It's like, okay, it's
a reminder.
Yeah, it's a reminder, but also it's fuel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things that lights me up. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this is really happening, bro. Like we're sitting next to like someone, you know what I mean, of this measure. So that didn't just start a business, but also like I think it's very easy these days to kind of fake entrepreneurship. Sure. Sometimes, you know, what a lot of times people want to be seen good, but not be good. Right. And I think what you are and what I see is the residual of the work. And when you're talking, there's a pureness because you're literally just talking about your day to day. It's not like I'm reaching for this or reaching for that. It's you can hear it. You can hear it. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh man, it's really dope because I read about people like you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And which is really cool because of like when you're going through your story, the way you set up your day, the way, you're talking about P&L. Like I'm asking questions like, hold up, I'm learning, and the fact you have a family, you're talking about faith, you're talking about structure, you're talking about those 2 days that I'm setting it up on Friday because I ain't got Sunday. These are real problems. These are I'm not real problems, but real situations and real lifetime stuff, man. And it's really cool because I'm actually learning from this conversation. It's just trying to give you your roses, man, but also you as well.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And thank you for like letting me be a part of this.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? And us building this out, man. Wow. Shout out to Thoughtful Discussions.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So, all right, let's move forward, man. Let's move forward. Business is going well. You started and you got it all set up. But you see there's room for growth. When did you identify like, okay, this is good, but it can be better? And what did that first, I don't know, you said you were in the mall, but when did it look like when you got your first like piece of land? Like when
the mall was just a way to get to intake customers, right? Like,
Correct.
you weren't actually doing
I needed
work.
customers. I needed patients. So yeah, we weren't doing anything hands on at the mall. It's literally like
I didn't know. I didn't know
yeah.
if you would
No,
just grab
that's a
people
good
at the mall.
point.
Just,
That'd be weird. I'm not that weird.
I was just like, I didn't know. I was like, that's I painted that picture in my mind. I was like, hey, this guy.
There are the massage.
That.
There are the people that do the massage at the mall.
We have
They're,
patients
like,
that
trying to
swear
sell.
by them. They love
Yeah,
them. There's some good massage therapists in the mall.
Okay, so yeah, all right. So you didn't do it at the mall. Okay, we got that part. But as you acquired those clients and they went to your facility, it's one thing to start. A race doesn't start. It doesn't finish where it starts at, right? So you start to see like, okay, this is becoming consistent. I think I have a model that is working. But comfort is that kills growth. So it's like you want to grow. How do you take something that is comfortable and then scale it, right?
So for me, at the beginning, it was a lot of that face-to-face type of marketing. We really don't do too much of that anymore. Like most of our clientele, at least last year in 23, when we looked at our numbers, like just around 75% of our patients are referrals. So to me, like when I sit back at the end of the day,
a lot of mine are as well.
Yeah, and there's
Referral
really
marketing
not a
is
better
so much.
compliment in the
Absolutely,
world, right?
absolutely.
You could tell me great adjustment, that's awesome, but man, you let me adjust grandma, you let me adjust your kid, that to me is the greatest compliment that I can receive. Right. So being able to care for people, being genuine for people, being able to help people led to those referrals to where it was like this very boots on the ground type of marketing for 18 to 24 months, this very now organic, I'm going to send in somebody that's suffering with X, Y to Z to see you. So that was a nice transition to be able to have for sure.
Right.
Are you the only chiropractor in your office, or do you have other people working?
No, we have Dr. Swager's in there with us. He's been there with 2 years now.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely amazing. I'm like, I couldn't be luckier to have a guy like him.
Love that.
In the office. And what's interesting about him, so we've had a couple of different chiropractors in the past, and they've always been employees. Essentially just seeing my patients. But the way that we set up his contract and the way that he operates on a daily basis is that he's a partial employee where he does see some of my patients and help me out with x-rays and exams and some adjusting at times. But most of his time is spent seeing his own patients, billing his own patients, building his own clinic within the confines of my clinic. And what's really cool about that, in fact, that would be my next step. I'd like to bring on another Dr. Swager because I think it helps a young chiropractor get out of school where they don't essentially have a fixed overhead. Like the first dollar he makes every month, pennies of that are his, right? A lot of pennies of that is his. He's got a pretty good setup right now. So for me and you, when we wake up in the morning, like sometimes we're not profitable till second, third, hopefully it's not the fourth week of the month before the bills are paid and everything's taken care of and we're putting money in our pocket. Right. What's interesting about that setup is he's profitable from February 1 through the rest of the month by taking care of himself. So yeah, I like that.
That's heavy. I think
that's good for him.
That's heavy. Okay. Well, we're hearing about a lot of great things, right? Yeah. We know business, the pendulum swings both ways. It does. So, what is one of the toughest situations that you may had to navigate that you're grateful for? But at that time, it maybe could have been make it or break it.
COVID.
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah. People didn't want to be touched. People were fearful. We were being told, you can see patients, you can't see patients. If you see patients, you got to see them for this particular reason. Every morning we wake up, we'd have to communicate with our patients as to who can come and who can't come. And it was terrible and it was tough. And at that time, I was very strongly considering opening a second location. And
before COVID?
Yeah. I had just bought, I have an interesting story about the house, but I just bought my house and I was like, okay, cool. So that was something that I wanted to accomplish. And my next step is to open up this second location. And then COVID hits and there's these shutdowns, there's these lockdowns. And I'm like, man, I couldn't imagine having a mortgage, and 2 lease payments I have to take
Right.
care of.
Yes.
So for me, it was like, thank God I didn't open that second location. Now, there's still a part of me that wants to do that. And I think it is the next logical step, but at the same time, is that an ego thing? That's something that I wasn't able to do that I want to be able to do, and something that I'm trying to find some answers to through my faith. But you know, that for me, like COVID 100%, and it was hard on every single business. I don't want to say that it was like any harder on me than it was anybody else, but man, that was some crazy times.
So I mean,
We changed everything.
yeah, and that's what I mean, right? Because that's what COVID did, right? It made a lot of businesses
It's a reset.
Yeah, reset, adjust. Like you couldn't depend on walk-in traffic. So how did you guys? Because I think there's only 3 things you can do. It can either kill your business, you can die, you can survive, or you can thrive, right? I think those are the only 3 options that COVID has presented to a lot of businesses. You know, you guys, it sounds like you survived.
Yeah, we did. So here, and I like that point. It was like, I'm going to go down swinging. So that moment where it was like, you can't buy toilet paper. You can't, there was like that moment where like, there was literally these things you couldn't get that were essential for life. They didn't exist. So that was right around the time that like, hey, you should be taking zinc and vitamin D and vitamin C. And then those became shortages. And I had a bunch of it sitting on my shelves and patients were buying it. And then one day I just walked in, I was like, open up the bottles, fill up little containers. Everybody gets a free zinc. Everybody gets a free vitamin D. Everybody gets a free vitamin C with their adjustment today. And it was that moment where I was like, no, we're just going to give. We're going to figure this out. We're going to get people things that they're not necessarily able to get. And I'm not going to only triple check, because there was a lot of clinics that would be like, vitamin D used to be $20 a bottle, now it's $45. And that was upsetting me and making me frustrated that you're taking this thing that people want, people need, and you're charging this premium for it. So I just opened them up and put them there, and there were some patients like, what the heck are you doing? And there's other patients like tears in their eyes, like hugging you. And that was, that serving hand was here a little bit above the business hand. Was there times I went home like, man, those $400 that I gave away today, was that a smart idea? In the moment, maybe not, but looking back on it, I think I would do it again.
Absolutely. See that you stayed, you 10 toes down. That's who you are. That's beautiful, man. And so, navigating that, not just surviving, but it sounds like you actually thrived through that, because I know you learned a lot about yourself. You said, even just now you were talking about not opening up the second one because it may just be an ego thing. But that's why you have your faith, right? To be able to navigate those type of things. It sounds like where was I going with that? Navigating those type of things. Kind of lost it. I ain't gonna lie to you. But my head was somewhere, and then I went there, and I lost it. But it just feels good to know that you having your core values and that serving hand higher than the business hand, and even letting that go through, and not even worrying about. The book Good to Great, and that's where I learned that die, thrive, or survive thing happens in the Black Swan. What they talk about is when you have your core values, it doesn't matter. A lot of times you stick to that. It doesn't matter if you're going to be financially successful or not. I'm still going to do this because it fits that thing that I do. Right. And that's when you stand on something. And that's the difference between a business lasting for 10 years and 100 years. Like if you think about like Disney, you'll never watch a Disney movie and see and feel like you're watching like you never feel, what's the word, if you watch a romance movie and you feel like odd because you see 2 people kissing, like you feel like it's sexual. You'll never feel that in a Disney movie because there's a core values. There's things that they put in place where that's not an emotion that we want people to feel when they watch our movie, right? They stick to these type of things, and that's how you really get a strong brand. That's when you know what you're going to get when you go there. So what I'm trying to say is that if you are out there and you are wanting to start a business, right? These type of things, that serving hand higher than your business, like those type of things are really the most important things that you can have, because a lot of times you're going to hit a wall or you're going to run out of gas and you're just going to have fumes. And those seem to be the thing that still keeps the vehicle moving, is those type of things. It's something you can grab onto. And I bet you that's tied out through all of your business, that saying. Like anything that you probably provide in your business has that in it, you know? And I don't know if is that right or wrong.
No, I think that's right. I think when it comes down to it, it's the person and making them feel cared for, making them feel heard. Because I don't think that exists a lot in the healthcare industry, is cared for and being heard. Like it's just, here's what's wrong, here's what you're gonna do. Take these meds for the rest of your life, and we'll see you. Good luck. Yeah. And to me, that's, thank God for the medications, thank God for doctors, thank God for the tests, but at the same time, that's a tough road to navigate by yourself. Yeah. And I think what's cool about chiropractic and the health, it's like we had mentioned earlier, it's like this intimate thing where like we're here, we're together, my hands are touching you, and we're gonna have this discussion of why we just did what we did, how that's going to help your body, and here's what we would need to do. We had mentioned drink some water, move your body, exercise, don't sit in one spot for a period of time, and being able to actually give somebody some useful information to leave that appointment empowered and improved.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm even just thinking about this. I also thinking about you, Josh, and Print with Love. It's kind of your thing as well. Like it's just this is really great information.
Right here on the label it says, "Printed with Love" by PGH Print Ship.
I love this label. I love this idea. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, where do you see? Do you have? What's the goal that you're going for right now? Like, what's that? What's at the end? What's at the end of the race at the moment?
So. It's interesting. So it's February, right? And we're kind of thinking of January leading into that new year. Second location is definitely still in my mind. I think what my main focus is right now heading into 24 is finding the next physician to allow growth, because there is a amount of people that need to be seen, and then there's an amount of hands in our office that are able to see them. And I think in order for us to take the next step, finding the right hire, finding the next chiropractor, finding the next physician is what's going to lead us to that. And again, is that our second location? Maybe we just double down and just see what happens under four walls and a roof. Right. Maybe make those four walls blow up and then say, hey, there's no choice other than to go get another location.
That's how I do.
Looked over. Yeah.
Just run until the wheels fall off. So I think that's my goal right now, is to find the next right fit for the clinic, physician-wise.
I mean, we're moving our space because we're busting at the seams as far as our
that's awesome
printing business. There's no more room. Like we got a U-line order this morning, and it was like, where are we gonna put this? Let's like clear some room somewhere. And it's a good problem to have. It's going into a space that's almost twice as big, and being able to segment in a different way and bring new machinery in and do what we need to do. It's a good spot to be in. I'm really happy with where we're at, but I'm always trying to double down where I'm at and get to that point where I max it out all the way and then start to make that.
How does that U-line order work for you? So do you see like, man, that price is good, I need those, or I have this order to fill that somebody's already put in the order, already put in a down payment or the payment? Like, what is your move to go ahead and stock up on that kind of stuff?
Oh, I mean, we ship stuff. We're probably shipping 10, 20 items a day.
Okay.
So like we need tubes and boxes and
so like U-line. Yeah. Okay, when you said U-line, I was thinking like U-line was the shirt or the
got it.
print on.
Yeah.
This is your actual stuff. I'm gonna put what I've done to ship that.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. But right. I do have a big paper order coming in. I think I spent over $5,000 on paper yesterday. and it was like I was like.
I love it. Yeah, man.
Where am I going to put this? So,
And there's nothing heavier than moving around paper. You got to have some strong backs in there. Actually, you probably need a chiropractor. Which
exactly.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
You know, when you said that kiosk at the mall, this might not be a good fit for you, or maybe when you open up the second store. But my thought was, I remember they sell a couple end caps at Home Depot and Lowe's.
Okay.
That would be a perfect spot to hit people
It
that
really
are sore.
would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Home Depot and Lowe's is it. You already have. I mean, that. So what's interesting about Pittsburgh is that you definitely have that blue collar mentality. We had talked about, one of the goals is opening up another location, and I was actually just thinking about this earlier today. Is like, does that extra lease, does that extra overhead make sense? I don't think there's too many 3-shift towns that truly exist in America anymore outside of Pittsburgh. So does it make sense for me, and I've thought about this for years, does it make sense for me to hire a nighttime chiropractor, nighttime staff? Yeah, maybe it's not as busy at that time, but how cool would that be for a guy getting done at the mill or a guy getting done with a shift to be able to say, I don't have to stay up late in his world to get adjusted or go to bed early so I can wake up to get adjusted. I can just do it on the way home from my shift.
I mean, you think about it, right? When it comes comes down to Uber, right? It comes down to different things like that. They come to us. Like these are services that the Uber Eats, just the same, right? Food being like that type of thing. But these are services that were only provided to a small few, like having a driver. And now everyone has one, right? I feel like it may be the thing where, if I want a chef to come, like if I just go on my phone and they pick up the ingredients and show up at my door, that's convenient. I mean, it'd be great to also have a doctor. We have that's what happened in the pandemic. You got a doctor now on your phone that can see you. And talk to a therapist or whatever that is, you know what I mean? And yeah, man, I think it might be the next move, man.
That might be it. Yeah, maybe create the app and a chiropractor on demand.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think that'd be great, because I mean, you can always carry a lot of the things like the thing you got to lay on and stuff like that. I mean, you can.
They're pretty light now, right?
Yeah,
they can move around pretty good.
Yeah, just
I like that.
Call up a chiropractor. I mean, that would be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Chiropractic schools would love that because I think there'd be a lot more chiropractors out there, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to have I have a car and I have a table and I'm making some money. That's not bad.
There's going to be a lot of people out there that probably shouldn't be doing it as well. That's going to start doing it.
You better make sure he shows you that license before he gets his hands on your neck, right?
But that I think that's it. But you were talking about also grabbing a new place, and I was thinking about the goldfish thing. You know what I mean? Where a goldfish only grows as big as the tank it's in. And sometimes you put it in a bigger tank, it grows bigger. I mean, sometimes you need to put it in a bigger tank because it's just grown too big for the tank it's in. But I think that sometimes is a way to think about it. We fill this space. That's why they say don't get a bigger desk. Because if you get a bigger desk, you just
put more work on it.
Just put more stuff into it. And it's like, but, sometimes to even when it comes to an artist, the bigger the studio, the bigger the work. You know what I mean? It just feels like I need to go into this place only holds so much. Maybe I need more to be responsible for, so to push me to do more.
100%.
I don't know. It just there's a million ways to approach it, but it's just always perspective.
I had a mentor tell me one time I was having that conversation with him, like bigger space, nicer tables, better equipment, whatever that is. And he actually had a pretty unique response. He's like, have your patients pay for it. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, start a GoFundMe page or put like a bucket up front, like, hey, I want to buy this piece of equipment. He's like, no, just see your patients, charge them what you charge them, take a percentage of that and put it into a bucket. And when that bucket gets to the amount that you need it to be at, then you buy XY piece of equipment. So you're letting the patients purchase themselves down the road something. And the patient doesn't know they're doing that, right? It's just an interesting way to funnel your funds throughout a business in order to make those types of investments. So, I think that's an interesting way to grow an art space.
Man, it's just wow. It's a beautiful thing. So, man, we're here, guys. We're here. And Josh, new space. You're getting a new space. You're getting a bigger space. So by the time this comes out, I think we should record definitely a few at the new place. But I know that's coming through. How you feel about that, my guy?
I'm very excited. It's I feel like it's a long time coming, and we are we're at a capacity now where if we have more space, just like table space, more space for supplies, more space for some more equipment, we're looking to be able to kind of double our capacity. And there's been a lot of things that we're kind of putting in place as far as our credentials and as far as our marketing goes, that I think that right now we're able to handle all the work that's being thrown our way, but we will still be turning down work if we have twice as much coming in.
Oh, wow. Good for you, man. That's amazing.
That's
awesome.
By next year, we'll see. I mean, hit me up and let me know. Let me know how I did. Remind me.
We were talking about 2024 goals, and I know that's what we were just hitting on. And I think 2024 is looking very beautiful. And before I think we do get out of here, the last thing I did want to touch on, because we all have children. Mm-hmm. We are not just business owners, but we're fathers, we're husbands, soon to be husbands as well too. You know what I mean? Got one over here. It's one thing to be a great businessman, but I wouldn't care for that at all if I couldn't be a great father, So how do you stay on top of that? Because I only have two, but it's
yeah, four.
But you're thinking of also opening another location. How are you diversifying your schedule? How are you really figuring out exactly how you have capacity to do this?
So, part of that is, it's kind of interesting because I look at my four kids and I see obviously something unique and special about each one. And I see two of them that I think I want to hire you tomorrow. They're really, they got good personalities. They're talented. They're awesome. So I'm like, okay, I support myself and I support my family through this business. 20 years. Maybe I want to bring one or two. It's not that I want to bring them. Maybe they want to come on board and work in Dad's business when eventually make it their business. Well, in order for that to work, I need to get my business right now to not just support me, but essentially three of me's, right? So that's kind of crazy when you think about that dynasty and being able to pass that on to somebody else.
Right.
So, I think you've got to start thinking 20 years out. If I bring in 1, 2, 3, 4 kids that want to be chiropractors and want to be in the business, you need to be able to scale your business so that they can come in and be successful in that, and or have the infrastructure to be able to support them to go out and do that. So I think about that business aspect a lot as, again, kind of I guess how my mind is wired. I think about it as a fatherly decision. If they want to do this, how do I begin now to make the decisions in order to do that? And then if none of my kids want to do it, how bad of a problem would it be that I've created a business that can support three of these lifestyles, and none of my kids want it? I think it's kind of a win-win situation there. So I think that goal that way is kind of how my mind operates.
Yeah. What about you, Josh? What do you see? When it comes down to, it's one thing, how do you divvy up your time? I know you have your time with Sharp as well, and how do you detach to make sure that he's getting what he needs, but also when he's at the business that you're passing along the gems.
Yeah, I would say that. So, with this business, I started it when he was born. So, the purpose of the business was to be able to do the work while I had him, and originally, the first 14 months of his life, he was with me every day, he fell asleep to the hum of the copier, and it was just what we did, and it was a really great place to start. It was a good reason to start, and so I'm constantly reminding myself that the business is he's the purpose of why I created this. And so if he has a sick day or if he has a holiday or whatever, and he has to be at the shop and hang out, and I have to set some time aside to go, do something for him or whatever, the business is there for him. I'm it's not like he's in the way of the business, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love that, man.
I think the decisions too. I don't remember where I heard this, but it was like with a son, you're essentially training your replacement, right? And with your daughters, you're training your daughters to see who I am as who my daughters are going to marry.
Exactly.
So when I look at that, I'm like, do I need to be 100% in my? Do I want my daughters to marry a workaholic? No. Do I want my daughters to marry somebody with a quality work ethic that focuses on providing for them? Absolutely. Yeah. So being able to find that happy medium between the two, and again, to be able to show my son, like, it's one thing to be uber successful. It's another thing to be a fantastic father. It's doable to be both, but it's a ton of hard work.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you've got to be able to do both well.
And that brings me to my next question. Tell me about the power of saying no.
So this was a conversation that no is important. And here's what I found with, and by no means am I a perfect father, but I've got 4. So, I would love to be able to spend 2 hours every night with a kid individually and be able to bond with them and to grow that, but it's just not realistic. Mm-hmm. And I think in anybody's schedule to have, what is that, 8 hours a day, just being a parent on one-on-one time. Yeah, so what I found with my kids, and I think this probably applies to most kids, is 100% attention for 10 to 15 minutes on whatever it is that they want to do. Mm-hmm. And that's an hour of my day, right? If with each of the kids, the baby not so much. He just wants to roll around and do her thing. But the other kids, like,
we'll get there.
10 to 15 minutes a day. And my dad was really good at doing that with me. He was a busy guy, but it was always that 100% attention for whatever period that is. During the weekdays, like on a Monday or Wednesday, it's going to be a short window. On the weekends, it's going to be a longer window. Right. But when that phone's not in your hand, I'm looking you in the eye. I'm at your level. We're doing that thing that you love, that you want to do, and we're bonding. That's, even if it's 10 minutes, that's important to that child.
Absolutely, man. We tell our kids these profound things, right? From like these philosophers or whatever. Like, you got these little sayings and they don't remember none of that. But they will always remember how you move. They will always, like, I think what Maya Angelou says, no one remembers what you say to them. They don't remember what you do to them, but they remember how you make them feel, right?
Exactly.
I think with our kids, like, maybe the words, some of them, a lot of them, a majority of them will not stick with them. But I still fight myself every day. Like I always said, I would never be like, this, like my mom, or like it. I find myself becoming just like them.
Of course.
So if I know that is the outcome, I don't know if my daughters would want to be in this business. But I know one thing, they see me going for it every single day. They see me making sure that I'm there for them every single day. I know the first woman, and any man, the first woman that they ever fall in love with is their mother, because that's the first person you know how to love, the first woman you know how to love. And the same with a daughter, the first man that they're going to fall in love with is their father. That's going to be the first man that they realize how to love and find how to love. And if they're going to marry someone that resembles a man to them because their father is the man that they know, I mean, I'm going to give those guys a run for their money. You know what I'm saying?
I'm creating the son-in-law of my dreams right now, every day.
And I'm working on it now, So that's where I'm at, man. I love that. You said that, I was like, oh, yeah, I get it. That's it.
So with the business, being able to say no, tell me about that in a separate way. You touched on it with the family.
Okay.
But like you said no more to that Sunday planning for the rest of the week. You said no to, like, how do you? Obviously, as a business owner, there's always curveballs, and we have to kind of build that into our day or be able to move things around. But there's certain things that you're able to do, like that you've probably learned as you've grown in your business, where you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not the right move. I don't want particular things. But how has giving yourself more permission to say no helped you to grow?
Yeah, I think healthy boundaries in any relationship is
Right.
important, right? So your business is a relationship. My patients are a relationship, and when a patient, like, we've had patients who are like, "Hey, I got stuck at work. My appointment was at 6:15, which is my last appointment. I'm not going to be there till 6:45. If it's one time, cool. I'm going to stick around for you. I love you. I care about you. Let's do it. If this is the third time I've got that call, hey, I'm really sorry. I can stick around late next week, but XYZ is going on this evening, and that has my priority. I've never had a patient quit. I've never had a patient get mad at me if I said no in that aspect.
Absolutely.
I'm willing to give you a shot. I'm willing to try that for you. So it's a difficult thing to tell somebody who could very well just be like, okay, I'll go to the guy down the street. But I think the flip side of that is if I don't say no, and I continue to let them come, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to think they're going to take advantage of me, and I'm not going to give them the service that they deserve, and they're going to leave anyways. Does that make sense? So I think oftentimes
if you do it, then they might keep doing it, and especially if you don't say anything or you're like, "Yep, no problem," then they're like, "Oh, cool. Well, he's here anyway, so I'll always do this."
Yes.
You know.
And
you got setting that boundary. It's a respect for yourself, but it's also respect to them as well.
Correct. Yeah, and I think most people understand it. Like, I get it. Life gets in the way. It happens to me all the time. But you know, when it becomes a habit, then we've got to probably put our foot down and say, yeah.
Got you.
Yeah. How about you? Any specifics there?
I mean, being able to say no to the work that comes in, and knowing like what work that we want and which jobs and which customers are probably, you know, not a great fit, and being able to see that before we take on the work is probably the biggest way that we've grown. And we changed something a couple of years ago where we take our full payment up front. There's a lot of printing places that, like, if you go online, you pay when you place your order. But when you go to like a local printing business, there's a good chance that you pay half up front or nothing up front, and you get your thing done. But when you sit back and look at it and you're like, it's not like a grocery store where I could just take this item back if I don't like it.
Sell it to somebody else.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a custom thing that's made for that person. So like if I'm going to start on an order, I need to get paid for it. Oh, and that, like, being able to kind of put my foot down and be like, sorry, no. The people rush orders, like, we'll take them if we can, but like I sent a message out to everyone working with me, and I'm just like, hey, like, as we're taking on orders, like as our season gets progressively busier, but I can see that over the next few weeks there's more and more orders coming in. Things have gotten heavier, and I'm like, just remind yourself to, if it's especially rush. If it's a rush order, that's usually where we get the most stress. Just say no. Like, we don't have to. If we don't have to take the work on, like, if we have the time and we want to do it, great. We'd love to do it. And for most customers, we can get stuff done same day, next day. It works. But when it's a rush and it's like the customer is stressing, they might not have all their stuff together. They might not know what they want, and then there's a lot of guessing, and then it doesn't come out the way they want it, and then they want to refund. Like, there's too many things that can go wrong.
Yeah. So
seeing that up front and being able to, sorry, I don't think we're a good fit. Here's 3 other options that might work for you. And, it has proved to be the same thing. Like, people will come back. Oh, no. Oh, you need 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever.
Seems
cool.
fair.
Then next time I'll do that. And so they might go somewhere else. Maybe they like them. And then maybe they come back to us at some point and they have their stuff together a little more. Either way, like, every time there is a job where, like, there's some stressing part, it is very much a service industry. Like, as far as the customer service goes, the job is very much service industry like, in a way where people expect. Some people are super happy, and I mean, when you go to a restaurant, I'd say most customers are happy, but when the customers that aren't are usually very unhappy, and they can be very rude and stuff like that. And so you can get into situations where you get unhappy customers, and that's part of business, part of life. It's not the end of the world, figuring out exactly how to go through that and but knowing what the signs are and like, all right, that happened 3 times this month. What is it about these particular customers that is the problem? And I think the rush part, that's a big part of it. And if someone doesn't have their stuff ready, then there's a limited amount that we can help with. But we've stopped all graphic design. All the orders come in off our website, so it's just we have a system set up, and if people aren't kind of running on our system, we have to be like a little bit more like sorry.
No, I think that's cool too. And you kind of mentioned you see it happen 1 or 2 times, and then you put some policies in place to ensure that we minimize that from happening again. I think that's why checking in with team, having we have weekly meetings. Maybe that's too. I've probably had some employees be like, no, that's like too much. In fact, I love meetings, so I sit down with each employee at least once a week. Yeah. Then we have team meetings, we have individual meetings, we have trainings. I just like this here. I love just talking shop. I love figuring out problems. It's fun to me, and it kind of gets my creative juices running. But I think it also, on the flip side, helps your future customers and clients as well, because it's going to improve the customer experience.
Absolutely.
Man, I really screwed that one up 10 years ago, and I know how not to screw this particular problem up. You learn from it.
And how many orders did I not do? There was probably 10, 12 orders that I didn't do because I was focused on this one.
Yes,
that was
it carries over into everything, right? Yeah, you carry that into your next project. Right. And I've had that conversation with other, not just chiropractors, other employees that have been there. Don't let that last person's issue translate into this person's issue, because that's how a bad patient turns into a bad shift, because you let that one person just kind of completely change the flow of what we're trying to accomplish. There's going to be I don't want to say a bad experience, but not every experience can be this beautiful Disney experience that you had mentioned earlier, where everything's just perfectly choreographed. There's going to be mistakes, and just realize and owning up and fessing to that, and then moving on so that you don't have that mistake over and over and over again is how you create a successful and long-term business. Yeah.
Another way that we've kind of said no is creating a standard for, and like you said, boundary. We do fine art printing, and I think we have, you might be able to have similar printers that we have. You might be able to get the same papers, but doing it the way that we do it, we have a very high standard for it. So if the prints are bent, or if there's any creases in it, if it's we wear gloves. So if anything's messed up on the print, we just scrap it and print another one. Okay. And so that's kind of built into our system, so that we have quality control and make sure that everything's good. And if someone gets their prints and it's messed up, then we make them again. That's obviously there is some boundary there, but knowing that we are going to put our best work forward, and there's a level of excellence of the quality that you're going to get. That I think that's a difference from you going to a corporate place or a online store that is just churning it out, and you're just a number. They're not printing with love. They're just doing the thing. But if we're trying to make it and try to do the best that we can, being able to say no, no, I'm not giving the customer this thing. It's not good enough.
I see what, and I like what you're saying there, because when you're saying these online places, I'm kind of trying to get into your space. If I see,
I'm not trying to name names.
No, I know, I will, but that's one of them, right? So
sure.
Their whole marketing thing is that they're spending all of this money showing you that it's done with love. It's probably not. It's not being done by a printer. It's not being done somebody that wants to turn a profit, right? So they have to spend all this money marketing that this is what they do, as opposed to you just being I don't spend any money marketing. This is what I do. This is just what I do. You know what I mean?
Right,
and then the product kind of speaks for itself. So I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's really cool.
Man, it's one of those things, man. You were talking about something where you said you enjoy meetings, right? And it's the best way to. No, I'm serious.
No, I do. I'm weird like that. People always give me a hard time.
But I think it's beautiful for problem solving, right? And figuring out what we should be saying no to. I think. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy podcasts, and one of the reasons why I want to create this as my core business, is because I feel with any problem, the common denominator is communication. It's communicating
Always.
with one other person, communicating with oneself, with yourself, understanding what's going on with you, and that can be a problem, right? It's understanding those things, and without communication, you're never going to come to a solution. And I'm, when I say communication, I can mean, there's a million ways to talk. There's a million ways to communicate, really. Not a million ways, but quite a few. But without that, there's no solution. That you're really not going to find your solution without it. So I think someone who enjoys meetings and purposeful meetings, not meetings that, when we get done with a meeting, we can understand this meeting was for something, right, and we know what happened.
Not this could have been an email.
I send a lot of emails, man.
That was like, come on, man. We could have literally, this could have been like a text or something, But no, I think that's important, and I think when you look at those businesses that I tend to appreciate, the ones that I tend to like to go to, meetings are a common occurrence in those, and a lot of times they say it's more than what we actually need, but is it?
Yeah, I think the meeting allows us to understand where the business is frustrated, where the problems are at, where the employees are frustrated at, where the patients are frustrated at, and understanding those frustration points to fix those. So as long as that's the purpose of the meeting, is that we're not just having a meeting to talk about numbers and to talk about this, but we're having a meeting to improve our delivery system of healthcare to a patient so that they can better experience a better quality of life. When that's the purpose of the meeting, okay, cool. Like I can get down with that. Yeah. But if it's just like, and I think that's where the corporate world kind of gets in trouble, because we just got to have meetings because that's what they do in the corporate world. It's not really about serving the customer. It's just, we need to kill some time. We need to do something.
We got to dock like 4 meetings this week. Yeah, like no. But I mean, I think, I think that's one of those things that just makes a difference, man. And I think when it comes to meetings, that's information. And without, if you have a client that's not informed well, there's a void there. You know what I mean? And that's where a lot of the static comes from. And I think it's the same with to me, it's not the client comes first, it's your team comes first. And if your team is right, if you guys are doing the right thing with each other, then I think the outcome is the product is going to be right, which means the client is going to get taken care of. But if I'm just taking care of the client and not caring about my team, then I feel like my team is going to be putting out bad product, and you're only going to get one person giving out good product. I don't know. I just think that's the best way to approach it. To get the best outcome is making sure that the team. I'm losing it right now.
No,
sorry.
You're good.
I
get it. I get what you're saying.
I'm there, but I'm like, my head's here. But I'm also looking right here because I know we're running out a little bit out of time when it comes down to the.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
So tell me, where could we find you? Where if people wanted to come visit, people want to follow you online, what are we looking at?
We actually just built out a new website, which is cool. You can schedule directly on our website at drpattison.maxliving.com. And it's Dr. Pattison, Pattison. I get Pattinson and Patterson all the time.
Don't know how the other ones are spelled.
Yeah. And then, the socials, Dr. Alex PGH on Instagram. We always put a ton of content up there. I try to keep that pretty fresh. And City of Bridges Chiropractic on Facebook. We also put a ton of content in there. So you don't even have to be a patient to follow those, I think, and able to pull some nuggets. We put nutrition stuff, exercise stuff, fitness stuff, stretch stuff. So check us out.
Love that. That's going to be amazing, man. Hey,
where's the location at?
Sorry. Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're in the South Hills, in the Brentwood Town Square. If you're a golfer, we're right next to South Hills Country Club, right on Route 51.
Got it.
Where's the new location going to be?
I'm building it out in the app as we speak. I like that idea. Chiropractic Uber.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure. I learned a lot actually from this sit down right here. So
hey, and you reached out to me. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you.
I've been a fan of you for a while now, man. This was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Man, that's so cool, man. That's so cool. What was one of your favorite episodes?
Is it Fit Lab? Who's the Who's the fitness guy? You weren't on that one.
No,
I hope
no. Who was
Sam
it?
Arnold.
Sam Arnold.
It was
Yeah,
Sam.
I really
Sam.
like that one.
Yeah,
and then the photographer that shot Wiz, what's his name?
Oh, Xavier
Right?
Thomas.
Yeah.
Xavier.
Or Like Us.
Or Like Us. Yeah, that was good, man.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
knowledgeable. He was heady. He was witty. I like that show too. So those would be my two favorites.
He was one of my favorites as well. I see him now from time to time. I think he's in Cali right now or
He
something
is.
like that.
Yeah, he's always back and forth.
Yeah, he's always back and forth. But when he's around, like I see, he's always at the events, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So now we gotta. Yeah, he was a good one. That was a good one.
Absolutely.
But man, we want to thank you so much for coming on, and I guess somebody's gonna listen and gonna say this is their favorite one. You know what I mean? So that's the goal, you know. And actually, I know that whoever's listening today, actually, you're adding a lot of value to it. You guys are lucky for this one, and we're lucky to have you. And we got to do a round two though. That's what I'm thinking, because I don't think we even like tapped in on some of the things I really wanted to get to today, such as like just. I don't know. There's so many more things. There's more to this. There's more to this. But anyway, I want to say, guys, thank you guys for listening. My name is Corey Ochai. I run 1028 Podcast. If you guys like what you're hearing, you guys are thinking about actually starting your own podcast as well, don't hesitate to hit us up at 1028 Podcast on Instagram, Facebook. Should we call it X? It just doesn't feel right.
Just go straight to
right.
TikTok.
It doesn't feel right, does it? Yeah, just go to TikTok, man. Yeah, don't even forget that one. But yeah, and what about yourself, my friend?
Yeah, if you want to know the quality of this recording, I mean, you've been listening to a sample this whole time, so
Absolutely.
you know exactly what you're getting when you come here. It's going to be good stuff, very valuable on every facet. So. For myself, I just want to thank everyone listening. Thank you for coming out. Thank you, Corey, for having us here and being on. And thanks for, everyone listening, everyone that's a part of this, whether it's a share, a follow, or our editor, Larry Lane, Lane Media. We appreciate every single part of it, the fact that we get to do this. We don't have to do it. We get to, and we appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without everyone that's here. So check out pghprintship.com, place an order. That is always helpful. See what all we offer. You can get these cans of water that are canned locally, and we can make a custom label around them. So we've been drinking. You like it?
I like it. It's great.
Cool.
And as I'm looking at this beard, I'm like, I would definitely get my beard on, on
Yeah,
that
yeah.
water.
I got a buddy,
That's a real thing.
Paul DeMarco. He's a tattoo artist. He drew that for me.
I like that.
And there was an old shirt that was Jesus was my homeboy.
I remember that one.
And so that was where they came off of. Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
And so I was like, that's funny. I like that. Let's do this.
Jesus is my homeboy. Josh is my home. That's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
I just put two and two together. All right. That's great.
That's why I got the halo around it.
Yeah, I see you now. I can't not see it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's good. I had we've made T-shirts and stuff that had that for other people, so I knew that.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I got the sticker actually of this one.
Yeah.
It's the one.
That was the point.
This is your Instagram label.
Yeah,
right here,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's it, man.